Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 10 of the Quad Mid Podcast. We are here and we are on time for the first time since we announced the schedule. We have actually uploaded/recorded a new episode on the date we promised, which is every other Wednesday, and uploads being on Thursday. So round of applause for us all around, boys.
We did it.
I'm gonna applause.
Like the real adults we're supposed to be. We did it.
It's official, boys. We're grown up now.
I'm all grown up.
It's
close, at least.
Great to have you guys on. As always, I'm joined by Wild Cucumber. Tad, how are you today?
Good. Coming off being 6, feeling better now.
Yeah, I got you. And last week we tried recording an episode without Bailey, but the audio broke and everything was fucked up. So I guess we're not allowed to do things without Bailey, despite our best efforts. He's back again for his 9th episode. He will now forever be one episode behind me and Tad. Ladies and gentlemen, BK Wappa.
Unless, I kill Tad and he can't do any more episodes.
That's
what?
That is a very real threat, Tad. Oh, what was the question, Scott?
How are you? How are you? And I don't think that was answered yet, to be honest.
Well, I was thinking about,
maybe
Tad
subliminally it was answered.
Huh?
Maybe
Yeah,
subliminally
true.
it was answered.
No, what I was thinking in my head was that to get ahead of Tad, I could kill him.
Oh, I got
and
you.
then he would be dead.
But you'll always
And
be behind me, but that's okay.
I could be right above him. I'll always be ahead of everybody else. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Second is the best kind of attitude.
So I made it to silver yesterday.
That's a big
And
announcement,
that is
ladies
an
and gentlemen.
accomplishment.
We are now officially a legitimate podcast. We no longer have bronze players on here. He still uses camera lock, but at least he's an average player instead of a bad one now. So round of applause for Bailey.
That's just the saddest little round of applause ever. But it happened. We made it.
I'd say it's an average ranking of
I would like to thank Riot for
You killed that
nothing.
tower. I told
I
you.
did the best. That has to make it into the video if it becomes a video.
It will become a video. I have all the clips. It's just a matter of me having the patience to edit, and that's normally where our shortcomings happen. But
Road
crossed.
to silver.
Last but not least, I'd like to introduce our guest this week. He's been a friend of the show for a very long time. He's been in our longest running group text between all of us, but we haven't managed to get him on here. But he was in the original quad midder feed strategy when we ran it down as 4 mid. Ladies and gentlemen, the man has many names. We just call him Travis. On your screen, he's gonna show up as C9 Pop Brownie. Travis, how are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing great. Happy to be on.
Hey, great to have you on,
the show.
man. This is like the most hyped guest in history. Like, you thought Donkey going on the H3 podcast was big, dude. We got our boy Travis here on the Quad Mid podcast.
Yeah, you can't see it. I just dabbed at my screen though.
Okay. we don't want all of our viewers to break into seizures from like sexual attention. So it's probably a good thing that they did not see that.
Probably, yeah. You're right.
It's the best thing. It's for the cast. It's for the cast.
It's for the viewers, man. We put out for our fans. Quite literally.
All for the viewers.
Yeah, it's good to be back. And like Bailey said, he finally did get the silver, and I'm working on compiling a video for that. I already have some of it edited, which is farther than I get with most of our ideas. Look forward to that. But without further ado, it's time for us to run it down mid with some fresh news. The 2017 League of Legends ranked season has come to an end, and with that comes a slew of preseason changes, including Riot's implementation of the Runes Reforged, a removal of the level cap, and the transference of IP. With the successful launches of Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, the hype around Nintendo is bigger than ever, and people are asking, is Nintendo finally back? And lastly, Activision has launched their newest installment in the Call of Duty franchise, World War II. The game has been widely received as the best COD in years, and many feel this could be a breath of life into a dying franchise. So, League of Legends, ladies and gentlemen, obviously Bailey...
Hearthstone announced at BlizzCon their newest expansion, Kobolds and Catacombs. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, if you
Also,
are
wow.
listening live, we apologize for the outburst. For those of you on the YouTube audience, it's going to pick up right here, where I edited out Tad talking about Hearthstone, and you will not have to deal with that interruption. Back on track with League of Legends. And obviously, as we referenced, the ranked season just ended yesterday. Bailey got silver at the last possible moment. It was literally hours before they closed the servers for ranked. So...
Woo!
We're hyped for that.
We did it.
And just as Bailey is adjusted to the old meta, that Riot has completely turned it upside down with this new system. I know I got in and I was able to play at least one game with the new movement speed. I think they're called Predator, and it was crazy. I was running around like Sonic on Darius, just running kids down. I know Bailey and Travis were in a game earlier. How did it play for you guys?
I played with
Udyr is
Thunderlords.
broken.
Udyr was fun.
Did you
It's
run the move speed one on Udyr as well?
Nah, I ran the result tree actually.
What's that one do?
I ran let's see, I did the Grass with the Undying, and it's just like a bunch of tank stats pretty much, but it was good. It was not fair.
Not fair.
It was.
It was not
We had
fair.
some pretty disgusting plays. I played Orianna mid, and I played with the glorified Thunderlords, and that one actually popped a little bit of damage off and helped me beat a Lux mid pretty handily. So that was pretty fun. And I also beat an Anivia today, so I'm proud of myself.
Well, you know.
Nice.
That is just excellent to hear.
Excellent.
I was trying
Just
to think of a bird.
excellent.
I was trying to think of a bird pun, and I was going to say all Anivia players are bird brains, but that's a little too low quality
That is
live audience.
I would be surprised by you
Excellent.
I also
if you said that.
Mhm.
I also heard that first building a bloodthirst on Udyr is really good. Is that meta now?
Oh man.
Oh, that's a reference to in game that Bailey and Travis occurred, where they played with an Udyr, and he's like, "Y'all ever seen an Udyr go first item bloodthirster? Well, you have
Oh.
now."
That said, Udyr was none other than
That was me, boys.
Yeah, boy.
See, I wasn't
was-
in the
and
game.
let me tell
so I
you,
wasn't invited, but
he was a legend. That was during our long climb yesterday up the ladder of silver or of bronze. And let me tell you, boys, it is a long and treacherous climb.
It was a
Rung by rung,
long
he
and
made it
treacherous climb.
Also,
And during this game, Travis muted all of the teammates as well as enemies right off the bat because, as we said, it's a long and treacherous climb.
Hashtag
and,
slash mute all.
a lesson
and
many could take home to
So-
their kids.
we're playing, and one of the players makes a comment or something, and one player was especially annoying all game, I remember. But Travis at one point stops and says, "Have y'all seen?"
Give me one
and
second. I
Udyr
gotta take a call. So you
build-
guys can keep going. You guys
And
can
he
keep going.
says, "Have y'all seen an Udyr build Bloodthirster first?" And the man replies, "Yes, I have." And then Travis promptly replies, "Well, you have now." I fucking lost it. I couldn't contain myself. The giggles were had.
The funniest part is that I had no idea.
Oh, and Travis had
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea. He was just romping around.
I
his
completely
Udyr,
forgot
just
that I
having
muted
fun.
everybody. So like, it was pointless for me to be typing.
But it was
It
still
was
worth it.
fantastic.
But it was worth.
Did you
Just
did you guys get a chance? Did you guys get a chance to play around with the new runes at all? Then
Yeah,
Actually, I've got it up right now. Actually, just kind of poking around through it.
It's
because I haven't even.
But
All I
think
saw
about
was something about a
masteries.
meteor.
It's essentially just more masteries, if anything,
Is that it?
minus the room page. Masteries that actually give you some sufficient stats too, if that makes sense.
Because I'll be honest, all I saw was like something about a new mastery that lets you like call down a meteor to like damage.
Yeah,
people.
but that's essentially
And
it's a lot like an AOE Thunderlords. It's like on a spell cast, it'll hop over. It's a little goofy.
I'll have to
Take a look
dabble.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about all the different ones so far, but like I said, some of your old masteries are still there. Even like
So I'll have to like redo all like 20 of my or 9 of my mastery pages.
yeah, no,
they're not even
everything
there
is
anymore.
they don't exist. Those
Son of a
it's
bitch.
that's what your masteries and your runes are
Do
essentially.
they still have the keystones at all?
Yes, yep. The keystone is
Okay.
like that meteorite
Anyway.
thing, and yeah,
Uh,
you choose a main one that you want first, and then you build your path off of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was
There's,
just
like, the
remembering.
different trees. And
I was remembering
it has like a couple of different big keystones that you can choose from as well.
Oh,
Yep.
neat. Once
It's not a bad change. It's actually really interesting.
Yeah, I don't
once
see
the
them
league loads here,
It
I was
doesn't
remembering-
completely. It doesn't completely change the game as much as I thought it might, or thought it had potential, but it does greatly change early game for everybody, and it makes it feel like a very even playing field. There's even a set where you can change your summoner spells mid game.
hey, that's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So you can now add like teleport if you wanted.
Yeah, and be like, oh shoot. I remember just remembering the donkey video where the Keystone Masteries are brand new, and he like hits him and goes, "Look, everybody, Nasus didn't take a Keystone. He's not very good at
Yep.
all." Well then, until Scott comes back, have you guys seen the Zoe then? The
Oh,
newest champion reveal?
I'm
that's-
not sure like what I'm thinking about that yet.
that's. I feel like that's gonna be classic Riot making a champion like Yasuo in a way where everybody's just gonna fucking hate it, but then
Actually-
eventually it will. Huh?
Don't quote me on this. I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure the guy who made Yasuo also made this champion. So
That
Get
is-
that guy
that is
out of the
correct.
fucking place.
I am
Is
back.
it? Okay.
Apologies for that,
I
guys.
was
I
like-
had to take a phone call in the middle of the cast. That was unfortunate, but
We're trying to get big boy jobs now, so
yeah.
Mhm.
You guys,
Yeah,
you
well,
guys
I mean-
sounded like you did great. Yeah, I don't think you even need me, to be honest.
yeah, get out of
Probably
here.
not, to be honest.
let's vote Travis
I'm
for
voting
new
Scott
main
out.
host.
I'll host the vote right here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Aye,
I'm gonna
yeah,
send my
yeah.
script over to Travis, and he's gonna take it from here. Travis, have at it.
All right, so yeah. Everybody see that football game?
I did. I did, dude. It was
Oh, the one with the ball.
the login.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
The one with
the ball and the net. and shit.
Ezreal guy. Dude, he was looking
Okay.
fly.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
I don't like this. You can be
Yeah.
the host again.
our
You can be
only if I must, you know. It's,
Yeah.
it's a burden I'm willing to carry.
I
Moving
believe
on
in
to our
you.
next topic. I don't know if you guys got into this, but Super Mario Odyssey has been received 10 out of 10s everywhere. IGN even enjoyed it, even with the various amounts of water. Donkey loved it. It's just blowing
Tad
up
loved
everywhere.
it.
Tad loved it, but his opinion matters less simply because we don't get enough viewers, and you guys can change that at home by spreading the word. Hashtag make Tad's opinion matter 2018, because 2017 is likely not
Yeah.
a realistic goal for us to blow up.
If we're going for realistic, we might as well shoot for 2020 at this point. But
oh, ouch. Well, maybe that'll be election year, right? Maybe we can change focus to a political podcast.
By then,
There
Kanye
you
will
go.
be running, and we can
Yep,
piggyback off
and we'll
of his
cover
success.
all of that for you folks.
But, you know,
And we'll tell you all who to vote for.
exactly. That might lead into a question that's coming later in the cast, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, maybe Kanye can get himself elected by writing off Nintendo's success, which this has really brought. Breath of the Wild was super well received, and then to drop Super Mario Odyssey, both just two big successes with their staple franchises, has really got people wondering, is Nintendo back? Are they? I mean, their single player has always been good, but I mean, this is back to the glory days in quality.
Yeah, I agree. It's
I haven't gotten
like,
to play it yet, but Zelda is a reimagining that
Fantastic.
is literally
Yeah.
perfect.
I think it's just like no Zelda. Like in my opinion, the original Ocarina of Time has always been my favorite Zelda. I think just because of that nostalgic factor. But like Breath of the Wild was like, oh my gosh, is this better than like Ocarina of Time? And the same thing, Super Mario 64 was one of, if not the first game, one of the first games I ever played, and like was like, holy cow, I want to beat this.
Yeah.
And like Sunshine was fun. I never played the Galaxy series, which is a bit sad, but Sunshine was fun, but it wasn't Super Mario 64. But now I'm playing Odyssey and it's like, oh my god, is this better than Super Mario 64? And it's you're spoiling me, Nintendo, but I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have, like I said, I haven't gotten a chance to play the new Mario. However, I think I would go to the hospital for various reasons with my brother in the cities, and I would be really bored because I'm young and I'm at a hospital, and I always found refuge in Mario and those nutty adventures in that castle. So I really did enjoy playing that as a kid, and then fast forward, and now I have my GameCube, and everything is awesome because now I'm playing Mario and he's squirting everything with a squirt gun, and it's just like, what the heck? That's nutty. And I feel like now he's just going to be possessing things with his cap, and it's just going to be all of that all over again, and I'm excited to give it a shot.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah. I still haven't played a lot of Nintendo outside of Pokemon, but that's how I've always been. I've never been a huge single player guy, but who knows? I mean, if they eventually do release that Pokemon open world RPG that they were announcing back in the day, I might have to make the switch myself. I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to do that.
I know you didn't. That's kind of why it was funny.
I threw up.
Sometimes
I threw up.
memes just make themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And lastly, this is something that I think we can all relate to, except maybe Tad, but I think even Tad can relate to it, so I'm going to talk about it anyways. Call of Duty. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just be the first to say that I am pleasantly surprised with the quality
It's been fun.
that Sledgehammer has brought to World War II.
It's nice.
I played a little bit with Brock last night, and I like it. I have yet to play Zombies, which I plan to do after this probably, but
Yeah.
kind of lit, kind of fun. I kind of like it, and I've never been the biggest COD fan. I played it because that's what all my friends played, and I was never very good at it. But
Right.
I grabbed myself a sniper last night, and I had a little fun. I said, "Let's do this. Let's shoot some other people in the head with a gun."
That's the best description of Call of Duty I've ever heard. Let's shoot some other people in the head with a gun.
With the gun, though.
I think the most exciting part for me is I've been somebody who's reluctantly in the past couple of years, but to this date I've still bought every Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4. Actually, since Call of Duty 3. And it's something that, for the first time in 2, 3, 4 years, I think I'm actually going to play this one longer than the month after it releases. Like, so many people are...
Nice.
I don't know, I was on the other day and I was playing with friends that I haven't talked to in years, but we used to play COD with each other every day. It's just exciting. It brings callbacks to the old Just Been Hawk days. For those of you who are familiar with our YouTube past, it's just great, and Call of Duty is our origin, and I'm really excited that they finally made a quality game that we can all get back into, and it'll be interesting to see because there have been some issues with the previous Call of Duties. I know a lot of people were enjoying Modern Warfare Remastered on its release, but then they started implementing loot boxes really heavily, and they started adding guns that affected the gameplay, and that really turned a lot of people off of the game. And that transitions perfectly into our main topic for this cast, and that's going to be loot boxes and where we stand with them in video games. To kind of headline this discussion, Zerb put out a statement a little while back on whether or not loot boxes were qualified as gambling. And I'm going to read it off really quick. While there's an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive in-game content, even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. We think of it similar to the principle of collectible card games. Sometimes you'll open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eyes on for a while. But other times you'll end up with a pack of cards that you already have. And this is coming from obviously of Zerb, the big game rating studio that puts all the ratings in terms of like age sensitivity on all the games, at least in America. But as far as loot crates as gambling, it's an interesting point because it definitely does feed into like the same system as gambling, where it's building on that, it's going off that build of a dopamine where you are taking risks to get something, and it feels more satisfying to get something, and it's really playing on the same thing that gets people addicted to gambling. But to their point that Observe raised in their statement, it's not gambling per se because you always win something. And I don't know, Tad, I know you were the one who raised this topic to us in the group text though a little while back. Well, where do you stand on that? I
hate, as I don't know so much if I think if it's would call it gambling, but I hate it because it's like it's so much. It seems like all the times you open this stuff and then you get it, and then it's like, oh, you get dust, and you use that dust to craft. Sorry, that's my dog is here.
Somebody's really excited about this.
She heard loot crates and she got triggered.
She's just as passionate about it as I am. Yes. Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. But it's like, they call it crafting, and to me, it's not like you push a button and you get it. That's not crafting. There's nothing fun about that.
Well, what are you talking about specifically?
I guess I'll even use Hearthstone as an example. When you open a pack in Hearthstone, and then if you already have the card, you can disenchant it for, well, dust. And then if you collect so much of that dust, you can craft the card. But there's nothing, you just get the card, right? You're not actually crafting anything. They just call it crafting because, that makes it sound cooler. I think the Hextech loot boxes are the same in League of Legends. You get the blue dust or the essence and the orange blue dust or essence or whatever it's called, and you collect so much of it and you get to craft a champion, but really you're just pushing a button.
I do have an argument for that. A lot. I mean, in the sense for League, not to just jump into League's defense at every chance I get, but in League, you're actually getting something that you don't physically need to play the game that you have the option to pay money for, right? So this is just, in a sense, incentive to play the game continued for free and reaping some of those rewards. I haven't spent nearly as much money on League since when the Hextech boxes came out.
And see, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with adding a loot box system to a game. Just for it, it's just when you hide so much of the content behind a paywall, that's like, I guess. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's exactly what Hearthstone does. But I guess in my opinion, Hearthstone's already a free-to-play game. It just feels bad when you purchase $60 for World War II or this new Battlefront game, and then there's just clearly...
And now there are, yes. Yes,
walk behind this
exactly.
additional buy wall.
And I
it's
agree
just-
100%.
Yeah.
That is the heart of the problem.
And I don't think you're gonna find anybody across the board who really is gonna argue with you, except the people in the studios trying to make money off the crates. And
I feel
And-
the only way crates and stuff like that would work is if it's able to be obtained without paying. Like if it's something you can grind out and get on your own, like it might take a little bit, but that like the paying part just being an easier like route, I guess. I
Right.
feel like that's the only way stuff like that can work.
See, and people, I can't. I mean, I guess I don't have the numbers pulled up, so I probably. But like, people have crunched the numbers for like how long it would take to unlock everything in like that new Battlefront game, and it was
Mhm.
like in the hundreds of hours, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And to unlock stuff without buying any loot boxes.
Without that, without
Yeah.
that chance thing too.
And it's just like that's insane. Like no one has that much time, and like
But there are people who play that game for that amount of time, and those people are the ones who are typically better at that game.
but at the
I
same
don't like
time,
the fact that they're operating. I don't like the. I like the fact that it's random. I don't like that you can pay for that random. Does that make sense?
yeah. At the same time, those people that are going to be playing that many hours are probably the people who would be paying because they're playing that much.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's an interesting point because I am not somebody who I almost never take part in microtransactions. In my 3 years of playing League of Legends, I've spent $60 on the game, maybe in skins. I really once I buy a game, I almost never get any expansion unless it's a map pack or some like content that's necessary to play further aspects of the game. But as far as cosmetics go, I almost never pay extra for that. So I'm not somebody that really understands this, loot crate. I gotta keep buying more. I gotta keep spending more money. But I've been reading up because it's been such a controversial issue lately, and I think where a lot of people are concerned is a lot of kids are getting into these games and they're building up well, the argument if this is gambling or not is a hot debate, but for the sake of our argument here, we're going to call it gambling, but a gambling addiction to these loot boxes where, like I mentioned earlier, the chemicals in the brain are being more satisfied when they get something they get by chance rather than earning something that they know they're going to get as a set reward. And that excitement is the same thing that people get when they, go to a slot machine or they roll the dice at a craps table or they buy a scratch off. And it's a bad pattern that has been exploited for years in other industries, and now video game makers are just the next to hop on this train. And I definitely think some regulation should be in order, but I'm not sure where they ought to go with it.
I think
I'm not sure
that's a good
how.
point. While it's not, I wouldn't guess we're going to call it gambling for the sake of the argument, but just to backtrack just one step, while I wouldn't call it gambling right now, I think it's very obviously a gateway to gambling.
Right.
It's like right on the fence of gambling, and it just barely tips to that not gambling side. It's like they found that line and they walk it,
Yeah. It's a good way to put
I
it.
think that's the dangerous part, especially when you're talking about kids.
Yeah. And there is a point
Well,
where,
I think one of the biggest things about kids is they're especially vulnerable to things, and they don't have a developed mind like an adult does.
Yeah, they just don't know.
That
They
has-
just straight don't know as much.
They don't know when somebody's taking advantage of them. Like when Clash of Clans, for instance, not to call out Supercell or whoever made that game, but
it is super
with
tough.
mobile games in general, that says, hey, you can do this much faster, and credit cards don't mean a thing to them. What's that? That's mommy's money card. Like, that's fine. $2 every day for a year ends up to be $365 a year on a mobile game. Might not even calculate out to a child. So that's that kind of danger. Like, they shouldn't have access to a credit card like that in the first place, but it's on their phones. It's tied to their iTunes account.
Yeah, I've actually got like a semi experience with that. One of my uncle's wives, one of her kids, like just connected her credit card to his Xbox account and just like if he saw a game and he wanted it, bought that.
No.
Like 200 games on his Xbox.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just that's
Like
exactly
a ridiculous amount of money just sitting on this Xbox, dude. And I don't think she had any idea.
That's pretty
all.
tough.
As just to really drive the point home, I always remember being in the store and hearing like the mom tell the kid, you know, we can't afford that. Well, just write a check, like
Mm-hmm.
just write an
Yep.
amount on a check and
Yeah. And it's interesting
Yep.
because everything is pushing for in the society convenience and, you know, having your credit card one click away. But without certain checks and balances in there to limit who is using that credit card, anybody, for instance, I know Xbox has the option where you can force you to use a password every time you sign in. But
Yep.
setting that up itself is a
Nintendo
lengthy
makes you
process.
sign in before you even get to the shop. Just saying.
Yeah.
yep.
There are
And they have never been big fans of the
micro
DLC craze.
and maybe that's why Nintendo's fallen behind. But, you know,
Nintendo kind of sets their own trends.
yeah, and maybe they're coming back. I mean, every episode we're talking about it. I still don't own a Nintendo console since the Wii, but that's not to say other people don't.
Yep.
I don't know. As far as kids go, it's a complicated issue because we're all at the point where we're very neutral about children. I know Tad and Bailey both work with younger kids, but I mean, we're not parents and we're not kids ourselves at this point in
No,
life, so we're
exactly.
probably the least qualified people to talk about them. With the exception
probably.
being Tad. I'm just more speaking for myself here, but it's interesting. But I think definitely where, again, to go back to the point that Bailey brought up earlier, where games are putting in content that advances the player, like, and gives them a tactical advantage in the game, i.e., Call of Duty Remastered, including just straight up guns, and Battlefront, the last one, and I think this new one is also going to include new weapons that just give the player an advantage and create that pay to win environment. It's just completely toxic, and you can't tell me that a bunch of developers sat down at the table and thought, and not a single person in that meeting was like, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, there's just, I don't understand it.
It comes from a business place too. That is such an outrageously easy way for them to make loads of money.
Right.
Loads.
And I don't know. As I'm coming out of college and moving into the corporate world, I'm starting to get familiar with the business world, and it is a mix between those stereotypes where you think everybody's out there to make money, but there's a lot of genuine people who are just in there trying to do their jobs. And so you wonder at those studios, is it a case where, hey, these people are just out there to make as much money possible, or are they just doing their jobs and trying to find new ways to make their company money? But you know, it was an interesting point. I was listening to Jordan Peterson on the H3 podcast, another shout out to a cast that does not need a shout out, but he was mentioning how people statistically aren't really brave throughout history, and everybody was talking about how they always say, "Oh, I would have been somebody to save the victims of the Holocaust and hide them away from the Nazis." But he's like, and he always tells people who say that to him that statistically you probably wouldn't have. Like, a lot of people just aren't brave when the consequences are dire, and even when the consequences aren't that like large, people just aren't brave in general. Now, this is to bring that back in circle. I'm not comparing these corporate companies to Nazis, with the exception of EA. EA, you are you're the coming of the Fourth Reich, but
and Ubisoft, the company responsible for the Holocaust,
as we all know. Still waiting for the World War II Assassin's Creed, where all is revealed. But to drop the memes, get back on topic. The people in the studio, I'm sure a lot. It'd be great if we could talk to somebody who's actually in those teams making decisions. But I'm sure those people understand that, hey, this is probably bullshit. But they're not going to speak up against the people who are trying to convince the shareholders that they're still making a lot of money, right? And so it's a hard situation because you put yourself in the shoes of the people who are making the games, and they just wanna make money and make their games successful. But I don't think it's a platform success in the long term. Eventually, and gamers are one of the most educated consumer bases in the entire economy. Like, there is nobody more passionate and that does more research on things they buy and posts more stuff on the internet than gaming. Like, this industry is while they might not be the most majority, they definitely are they're the vocal minority in a sense compared to other industries. Like, everybody who's a gamer talks a lot, and the feedback is bad, and it's really just wondering how long is our gamers in general going to put up with these microtransactions before either we're going to just accept that it's there and move on with our life, or we're going to seriously put our foot down and stop giving money to these companies who keep, I guess, releasing loot boxes and content like that.
Yeah, I think the problem is I do agree that, that's what we'll kind of have to do, but I think as long as people keep buying them, like, as long as people can keep making bad games,
as long as they can keep making money
as long
on
as
it.
people, keep buying loot boxes, and like, okay, people are upset, but you're still paying for them. So, and unfortunately, our wallets are going to speak for us, and it's like, man, I guess I'll use the next Call of Duty as an example, but right, man, I know I really do want to try that new Call of Duty, but they put loot boxes in there, and so I'm gonna hold on to that $60.
Are there I saw that there were loot boxes. Can you buy those with?
I haven't checked on that yet, but I'm almost guaranteed
you can definitely buy them with money.
It'll be interesting to see if it gets to a point where you can buy guns. And I think, so this is an interesting point because up until now, we've painted loot boxes in an almost entirely negative light. But personally, I actually like the addition of the raw concept of opening a chest and getting a random thing for the game.
I love the Hextech crafting thing.
Yeah, like in League.
I like the chest in Call of Duty, and like how you can earn the keys through playing games. I don't like the fact that you can buy the keys, and then that they have all sorts of.
And that's more my distinction between like whether a game is using it as their sole platform to make money, like League of Legends. And obviously it's not their sole platform, but
I would say they don't.
League, I have no problem with it doing, because cosmetics is largely how they make money on this game.
It's almost entirely.
They don't charge you $60 to buy the game, whereas Call of Duty is making that already large amount of $60.
Just to play.
But then on top of it, trying to block access or give you advantages for paying more money. I don't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was one thing I've noticed, but I think there's a real disconnect between like the developers, because early in Modern Warfare Remastered's development and early in the game's life cycle, one of the developers was quoted as saying, "There will not be gun DLC in this game." And then how many months later, when map packs weren't selling, they introduced gun DLC. And I think it really goes back to the issue where there are people within the industry who understand this is a problem, but I think the voices that are calling the shots are just so much louder, and they want to keep the cash flow coming, and it's a bad cycle.
And
you don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we don't want to sound like that. The classic people saying, "Oh man, the gaming industry is so corrupt." But I mean, I don't think they all are corrupt, but I think it's a little. I think there is a little bit of it there, and it's a mix between people being against it and for it. But right now, the people who are for it are winning.
I mean, it's dumb to cry about it and then turn around and pay them money, which is something that everybody does. So, if you want to cry and whatnot about it, I guess that's fine. Go ahead and cry about it, but don't give them the opportunity to continue doing it, please.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess the other thing to say too, when you said about, statistically you wouldn't have done anything, you could imagine, the developers who are making this game and knowing it's wrong, but then you have the boss man coming down saying, hey, loot boxes are making a killing right now. We need to add those into our game. And you're, the developer is like, oh man, I know the players are going to hate that, but, if I don't do this, I'm going to get fired.
Well, nobody's yelling at the little man in a company here. We're yelling at the big man saying...
Well, no, I think he's referencing the developer who knows this is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Overruled.
Yeah, well, I guess people always talk about the developers doing this, and it might not necessarily be just the developers.
Yeah, it's often a publisher-driven thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at.
Yes. I'm actually excited for the new Star Wars, but I really don't want EA to just turn it into another cash grab.
And it's disappointing, but it does open the door for a lot more smaller gaming studios to hop into the market. I mean, you see a lot of startups like PUBG and Squad. Another episode where we mention Squad, but don't actually talk about it for the whole cast. But I mean, a lot of games, smaller studios are getting a chance to break into that market because people are slowly getting fed up with the big studios just trying to grab your cash. But
I've been playing Stardew Valley and Axiom Verge on my Switch because they were really, really cheap.
Right.
I think Stardew was 15 and Axiom Verge was 20. And I got two games for less than the price of a full AAA title, and I'm having a blast with both. Mm-hmm. So there is definitely good in the gaming industry. There's come-ups coming. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah. But to that point, even PUBG has ding 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 a loot crate system.
But again, I'm okay with PUBG doing it because, again, that's kind of cosmetic. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that as well, you've got a smaller price tag than the $60 AAA title,
Mm-hmm.
I want a company like... Who made PUBG? Do we know?
Blue Hole Studios, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. I want them to make money because I like their game and I want them to improve their game and possibly even make more games. But I don't like it when it feels like this out-of-touch company like EA. EA's just getting the beat of... They're the most notorious, so we're using them as the example.
They are ours, a scapegoat, if you will. And yes, a scapegoat and not scapegoat. Okay, I'm gonna kill that meme. It's down.
Go for it. Alright, but essentially what I'm trying to say is I like it when a small company who doesn't charge a full $60 price tag and who has promised a certain amount of quality does it to continue making these games and of the like. I don't like it. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we've been bashing on loot crates a lot, but they're definitely a good way for the smaller games to stay afloat. And
yes, exactly. To get a foot in the door and
I guess really
continue making those games
when it's pay to win, when you can pay to get big advantages in games that you can't really get just grinding things out. That's
PUBG,
really
you don't even get there is no advantage with that, is there?
No.
I don't think so.
You could argue.
I just think about
you could argue that the having better camouflage clothing is an advantage. But
yeah, but you have the best camouflage clothing as a default, don't you? I thought the gray shirts are better than as far as camo goes, but that's just another issue altogether, and I think that's kind of
But go ahead and.
I just think about the Behavior Interactive made Dead by Daylight, and I don't I don't know how many DLCs, but Dead by Daylight, I think I got it on Steam for $20. They have a whole bunch. but they have this cycle where they do a paid DLC and then a free DLC.
Hey,
And
that's not too bad.
it's a $20 game, and it's a small company. It's the only game they're working on, but they still do free DLC because they're like, "Hey, we like you. Thanks for playing our game. Please keep playing our game."
Yep.
So it's a game with killers and survivors, and so sometimes you log in and hey, there's just a new killer. Go download it.
Yep.
And I see that, and it's like, okay, these guys genuinely care about their player base and they want to be nice to us. And then you see bigger companies who obviously already are doing very well for themselves.
Sorry.
And then they're like, hey, give us more money.
Exactly.
And it's kind
How
of
did the whole loot box thing in the new Shadow of Mordor play out? That was really just.
Yeah.
That's just stupid, and that's like shooting yourself in the foot. Like
single player loot boxes.
it's so goofy, so goofy. I can get all this stuff by just playing the game and enjoying it, or I can just pay extra money and beat it faster.
The thing is to like get the true ending of the game, you have to basically go through this gauntlet of defending all the keeps you got. And if your orcs aren't a high enough level, they'll just get crushed. Now, you can grind the game for a long time to level up your orcs, or you can just buy orcs with loot boxes to get that true ending. Mm-hmm. And it's just really, really shitty. And so they're like, I think that's the part that gets me, where they're like, well, you can do it for free. You'll have to play the game, for 80 hours, but you can do it. And it's like, just because it's possible, it has to be,
it has to be achievable. Yeah.
So, yeah, realistically, like,
that's unfortunate.
I guess it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because Shadow of Mordor was like, oh my god, like,
did you not like Shadow of War then?
Oh, I love Shadow of Mordor, but like that's it. Is like I love Shadow of Mordor, and then when I heard Shadow of War, I was like, oh my god, that was my most anticipated game of the year.
Yeah.
And then they put loot boxes in it.
So, wait, have you? I thought you had. You have played it, right?
Shadow of War, yeah, I still got it.
Did you like it or dislike it?
The game.
Loot boxes or no loot boxes? Loot boxes or no loot boxes?
I had never bought any loot boxes. I still have like the little quest that's like, hey, go to the market and check this stuff out, and I just haven't done it yet. But that's the other thing is when you pause the screen, it gives you that little like quest notification over the market, and the market is where you buy loot boxes. It's like, go here, check out our loot boxes, and it's like,
okay. So does it give you the never-ending notification?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's
just there. And I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want to do it. It leaves that sour taste in your mouth of like, that's the other problem is the game is fun. Like, if you liked Shadow of Mordor, you'll like Shadow of War. Okay. But it's just that slippery slope of like, okay, that there's this like big black stain on the game of these loot boxes, and it's like, where is this going?
It's kind of like baking a really dope cake. You got a bunch of filling inside of it. You've got some Snicker bars. You went ham, angel food. That's my favorite kind of cake. But angel food, cake everywhere. You just made this bomb ass cake. And then you put poop-flavored frosting on top, and it just, like, you can scrape the frosting off, but it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like,
it's just there, and you know it's there. You know it's there.
All over your cake.
You're like,
all over the cake.
This is a bomb-ass cake, but you just, why'd you put the poop on top?
What'd you do that for? It was fine.
Why did you do it, EA? Why did you do that?
Because it made them money.
Why, Santa? Why are you taking our Christmas tree?
I think
they make more money selling poop flavored cake.
That's the moral of the story.
They make more money selling poop flavored cake.
Well, if we buy the poop flavored cake, we can't complain.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
And I don't. But and now we've tried this a couple times to talk about what we like about loot crates, but we end up getting sidetracked onto a
Yeah,
train
we
of what we
always
don't
do.
like.
Like,
I'm just gonna go ahead
well,
and
it's
say,
because there are certain ways that loot crates can be done. I just think it's very select.
right, and I'm just gonna go ahead and
it's gotta
say
be pretty
that
specific.
to name a few examples. I think there is no very limited flaws in the League of Legends Hextech crafting thing. I think it's a great way. It's a free-to-play game, and they're giving you paid content that doesn't affect your gameplay, and they're literally just giving
For free.
You're just getting,
Cosmetic.
Just through playing the game.
Just-
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think PUBG.
Yeah.
Just from enjoying their game
I think
that they made.
Yeah, I think
We're trying on.
PUBG's looting
And update
system.
all the time. Just
Yeah, and I think.
good on you, Riot.
All right, I'm gonna try to make my point for the third time.
Sorry.
It's all right. Oh boy. I think PUBG is another great example of that, where the looting or the loot crates are really insignificant to the gameplay, but they're just a nice touch. And I don't know anybody that pays for their loot crates in the game, like pays actual money, versus you get battle points for winning, and it really incentivizes you to grind. You know, you play one game, you're like, shit, dude, I'm just 100 short. One more game so I can get that last 100 battle points and, cash in my last crate before it expires this week. And I think steps like that are great, and honestly, I would be sad if they didn't exist in the game. I mean, yesterday, before the preseason hit, I know Riot was revamping the whole looting system, but I just cashed in a bunch of skins, and I got, it must have been like 7 or 8 skins. And some of them were like high-value skins that were like, $20 skins. I got them completely for free, just from playing the game. And I think that's a great stuff
What's
like
your
that,
favorite one?
where you get stuff for free and it doesn't affect gameplay, and it's a nice memento. And I would be sad to see it go. And I'm really glad that loot crates exist in that capacity. And
I think the thing with that is, though, and not to bash on Riot, but I know we know in 2015, I think it was, Riot made like 1.6 billion in revenue, and so they're obviously doing well off, and so for them to implement something
Their
like
money
that is not hard.
comes from a lot. Well, that's what, and they have a
They're
little
not
different
taking a
money base
hit,
now.
right?
Nope.
And I think,
But isn't that a thank you to the players for forking out that money?
No.
And
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's probably why it is so good. I think the same thing with PUBG is, who knows how many copies that's sold, right? It's if you check your Steam library, you click it, and it's like, oh, you and 500 other people, on your friends list own this game, and so they're doing well off, and so it's easy for them to implement these good loot crate systems. So my question is, why isn't Big Bad EA doing that? Because they're clearly not in the hole, right?
right.
I think maybe that's part of the reason why it's so cruddy, is just it's like,
do any of you guys get the like Madden and other EA sports franchises? Because they've got a chokehold on the sports franchises.
Yeah.
I haven't played a
I'll
Madden
give
game
it
in
That's
every
actually
years.
I did play a little bit. I toned it down. I know once I started playing League, I kind of fell out of the sports gaming world. But like with the Ultimate Team, holy cow, is that such a barrier to entry? You have to get those packs, or your team's gonna be shit.
Does it cost? I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
it's
What's
like-
that then?
Ultimate Team is essentially like kind of like fantasy draft, but instead of drafting your players, you just open packs, and then you can you get new players, and then you can decide, and then those cards you can play those quote unquote cards that you get in the packs, and it's almost I don't know if there's a way to generate. I think you can get points in game by playing too, but it is way faster to just pay for them. Almost every bonus edition of a sports game comes with free extra bonus packs for the Ultimate Team, and we're not big sports gamers here, but that is it's such a barrier to entry. If you don't spend money on that shit. I remember when I played NHL religiously, I was considering buying that just so I could compete with the other guys online because they were all spending money.
Oh, that's
See,
annoying.
that's the other shitty thing right there is once one person does it, and you're in that. Well, it's I guess we'll say
It adds
NHL, whatever,
incentive for other people to do
and then
it.
it's like, oh my gosh, that dude's kicking my ass, and all because he spent more money on this.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes he's just
And I
straight
know-
up better than me, but you know.
That's true. That's true. I do know sometimes, like, I guess I won't say for certainty because I don't have the source opened up, but I do seem to recall reading something along the lines of some multiplayer game matching people up with people who had spent money on loot boxes or had spent additional money with people who hadn't as another way to incentivize them to purchase additional content.
Oof.
That's no.
Just like that
No
extra
bueno.
push of
Just
like,
no.
hey, see how good this guy's doing? You could be that good.
That's where it all goes wrong, right
For
there.
$19.99.
And I can't prove that. I'm sure I could maybe.
I'm sure that's a thing
But
somewhere.
It's yeah. But that's the other part is I can just say that and everyone's, or I shouldn't say everyone, but then it's like that's not hard to believe. I could see that being a thing that happens.
Yeah,
And isn't that just kind of like
that's
a
sad.
knife in the back? It's just kind of like it leaves that bad taste in your mouth of like, shit, dude,
Yep,
that sucks.
not fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The worst is when the game is so fun and then it's like that, and you're trying
Yeah,
to.
that's
convince
what-
people, like,
It turns you
Yeah,
off
that is
of
what
that.
Shadow of War is for me. I get on and I have a good time, but then there's just that quest. Hey, check out the market. I don't want to check out the market.
Come spend
I just
money
want
on
to
a
play
free
the game.
solo
Yeah,
game.
you paid $60 for this game. You could pay more.
And we joke about not playing Hearthstone a lot on this cast, but honestly, for me, that is one of the reasons I've not gotten into the game. It is a free-to-play game, yes, but I just hear about on Reddit and from other players who play the game actively how it just incentivizes you to buy the next pack, otherwise you're going to be behind. And I just know that if I get into a game like that that's competitive, I'm going to just eventually fork up the money, and that's why part of the reason why I don't want to get into the game, because I know I'll be forced to spend money if I want to stay competitive, and that's not something that appeals to me.
I think the I guess the counter argument to that would be is, in my opinion, the best mode in the game is the arena mode, and it does cost. I guess I don't even know how much it costs money wise to get in, but you can spend money to get in. But you can get in with gold, and then you just draft a deck of 30 cards, and all cards are available to you. There is no like if you don't have this card, you can't get it. And then based on how well you perform in the arena, it will reward you with that much. It will reward you with more gold cards or card packs. There's quests every day to complete to earn the in-game currency gold. You can't actually even buy the gold. You can buy the packs, obviously, but you can't buy the gold. They do adventure modes. You can buy the adventure modes with your gold.
But you can also buy arena keys.
You can buy arena keys. I
Which
don't know
are
how much
$2,
they cost.
right?
I
I think they're two.
maybe they're two. It doesn't. If you want to play the game competitively and ranked, I can't lie. Yes, it does very much incentivize you to purchase cards to catch up. But I do. There's also, I mean, at the same time, the good players, I guess, do in the same way still kind of shine through. I know a lot of the Twitch streamers will make free-to-play accounts, and they obviously don't spend money on it, but then they'll get to that legend rank without spending, a dime on the game. And so it's tough, yeah, I guess, but it's still. I'm using my same arguments that I shot down earlier.
Yeah.
I guess
That's the trouble with loot boxes.
yeah, and a card pack is essentially a loot box.
Right.
It's exactly the same thing. They just call it a card pack.
Yeah.
They do other things, I guess, as well. Like there's the quest every week. There's a tavern brawl If you win one game in the Tavern Brawl, you get a free classic pack. They're doing things to help out free-to-play players. BlizzCon, to celebrate BlizzCon, everybody got Marvin the Fox card. They just gave you a free card. I know the Whispers of the Old Gods, they gave everyone Cthulhu and some Cthulhu cards. And so they do. Blizzard gives, I think Riot does too, but Blizzard gives a lot as well. And so
Blizzard, I think Blizzard's a pretty great company. I don't have a whole lot of
Blizzard's my favorite company.
I don't have a whole
Blizzard
lot of
sponsors.
Blizzard.
I have nothing but good things to say about you.
I have nothing but neutrality. So,
You know, now that I think about it, besides like character boost, World of Warcraft, like their microtransaction, like how they do theirs is pretty good.
Yep.
I feel at least.
I mean,
Like,
you can
know
buy
there's
some cosmetic pets.
Subscription to that game.
Yeah.
And, you can buy a level 100 character, but like you're kind of just dumb to do that. $60 for 2 days, like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did like I remember I did some challenge, and it took me I think 5 days of like playing probably 4 to 5 hours a day to get a character from 1 to 100 when Warlords of Draenor or whatever just came out.
Yeah.
Or maybe whenever 100 was the cap. And I was like, wow, that used to take me months.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, they've made it so easy.
I mean,
I think-
overall, there's. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
Oh, you're good.
I'm
It
just,
wasn't
I'm just
relevant.
about to wrap up, so if you have any points you want to get in there real quick, now's the
I
time.
go for it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I guess, but overall, there are definitely some good instances of loot crates, and there are definitely bad, and that's the way with it is in almost everything in life. There's good and there's bad, right? And the question is, does the good outweigh the bad? And that's something that I think only time will tell. There certainly is a lot of bad, but there is also good, as we've given examples. One last plug, I think, to talk about. I know Bailey mentioned Clash of Clans, but I think Tad mentioned the arena mode, and I play Clash Royale, which is another game made by Supercell. And people often complain that it's a pay-to-win game, but as somebody who's plays it a lot, or I should say, it's something to play while pooping, right? So, and you poop a lot, so I get at least a game or two in every day.
oh, sick.
Gross, dude.
As somebody who plays the game a lot, like there's a lot of opportunities to get free cards, and they even give out like free gems, which is in the in-game currency if you want to purchase stuff that way. And so I think it is balanced in the sense, and I'd say the games I play I'm at a relatively higher rank in that game, but the games up there, I would say I only lose maybe 10 or 20% of my games because the kids have better cards. Normally it's completely strategy. But that's just one last little tidbit. And they also do have an arena mode where you draft cards, and that is by far my favorite, just because it's all skill. But that's my last little tidbit on loot crates. I think that does it for our main discussion. To wrap up, once again, we do want to congratulate Bailey on silver. This has been a team effort to get him there. And at least one of us, in the cast made our ranked goals. Hashtag RIP MadJack Platinum 2017. Maybe next season, boys.
Tried so hard and got so far.
But in the end,
Look out for short video entailing the games that we played to get Bailey to his goal in the final days before the season closed. Hopefully we'll have that out soon.
they were
Again,
definitely pretty lit, so
Yeah.
I hope that becomes a thing.
like I said, editing motivation pending on that one. It comes in sparks. If I get stuck, then I might quit. So if you really want to see harass me and say, "Hey Scott, how's it going?" or like, maybe don't do that because that actually makes me mad. But like, hit me with ideas, cause that's what gets me hyped to edit. But that's it.
What if you had a
Go ahead.
video?
I had a
Oh, I was gonna say, what if you had a poop joke in the video? A poop joke.
That would be a one.
joke.
Oh, I almost forgot. So a new, running thing to ask our guests as sort of a closing comment that we. This is a complete meme, by the way. But Travis, as our guest, we're interested to get your thoughts on the Electoral College.
The Electoral College.
The Electoral College.
So,
We're talking
you think it should be down
like
to the popular vote?
That
Yeah.
the college that elects the president.
Yes.
Yes. So should like,
This is some
You have to go
Clarify
there
it,
for like
like,
8 years and get a master's or something before you're
No.
able to do
do you
that.
think that the electoral college should take precedence over the popular vote, or do you think the popular vote alone should decide the presidency?
Personally, I feel like the Electoral College is not needed. I feel like it should be a completely popular vote.
All right. Well, that's the tally, boys. We'll see if you win the Electoral College in the vote for it, or if it'll be a popular vote. This is.
We'll keep a running tally.
We'll keep a running
That's
tally,
pretty good.
boys. But until next week,
Finally text me. So I can go to
I
my
want to
group
thank
chat.
you all for tuning in. Tad Bailey, if you guys want to do sign-offs.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'll see
As
you guys
always.
later.
Yeah. Loyal
Wow.
listeners.
Thanks again for having me, guys.
again.
It's been a riot.
It's been a
Oh,
while.
Hey, wow.
Thanks for coming, Travis.
The show.
All right,
Yeah,
you fellas have a good night.
it was an honor.
Oh.
It was an honor having you on, Travis. And this has been Mad Jack. And as always, don't forget to pay to win for our subscription, which is completely free.
Maybe we should do our subscriptions and loot boxes.
Exactly.
You have to like collect 5 chunks of the subscription button to subscribe.
All right.